Modern cards versus vintage cards. Which one should you buy and what is the best for your collection? So personally, I actually was buying cards when I was younger. I was buying modern cards and vintage cards as well. My first cards actually were the T206 Christy Matheson. I had some other Joe Tinker, and I had some other modern cards from the early 2000s. So long story short, I had a couple of them. The T206 Christy Matheson. I ended up selling it once I got back into the hobby, which is a huge regret. It was a PSA one, but it was a copy from my childhood, so I really regret that. But overall, I mostly regret selling my vintage cards instead of modern cards, and there's a reason why. Number one is the nostalgia of having it, but number two is the rarity, and I know I'll never get it back. That specific copy, most likely. So if you're gonna go out there and start collecting, what should you really collect, vintage or modern? If you really care about the players right now, like Aaron Judge and Shohei, I really believe that they're very overvalued compared to the vintage cards. Now, if you had $5,000 or $10,000, I'd much rather buy a Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Christy Matheson, Cy Young, Ty Cobb instead of Shohei and Aaron Judge. First off, there's many reasons why. For instance, let's say Aaron Judge, God forbid, breaks his leg or something happens to him, or Shohei Ohtani as well. Their cards would plummet, and your investment in their careers and in their cards will go down as well. Whereas if you buy vintage cards instead, you're buying history, you're buying a proven record, and your investment overall is just safer. So if you really had to put your money into one product, into modern or vintage, I'd much rather choose vintage. Also, grading. I really look at modern cards as like, I don't love the grading aspect of it because it either has to be a 9 or a 10, PSA 9 or 10. Whereas with vintage, there's more, scale. You can either have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and it could look amazing, and people don't care if it's not a 10. Whereas with modern cards, if it's not a 10, most people don't even want it. That's another reason why I like vintage as well. You can find a low-grade copy with very high eye appeal, and it's a keeper. So another criteria for me personally is when I look for cards, I look for very high eye appeal cards because if I buy it once, I don't want to have to sell it because I don't love the way it looks and then buy a better copy in the future. If I could find a 2 or a 3 that looks like a 4 or a 5, I'm not going to sell it because it's a very high-end copy for the grade. Why would I ever do that and then lose money? So with modern cards, something could happen to the players. It's very volatile. People go in and out of the modern market. And a lot of modern collectors, I believe, go into the vintage market because they see that it's a very safe investment, especially with the GOATs like, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, those kind of people. If you're buying other people in the vintage era that are not so well known, that could be a little risky and honestly probably illiquid as well. So if you're going to buy stuff from the past, definitely focus on Hall of Famers that are very well known and very liquid. Now, that's if you care about investments. Now, if you're just a collector, different story. Buy what you want. But if you care about the future and what your kids can do with your cards when you're gone, I believe in buying Hall of Famers that are very liquid, so if something does happen to you, they can go to any auction house and sell everything if they need to get the money, and then they have no issues. As opposed to having like thousands of cards worth, let's say $2, $3 each, it's going to be very difficult for your family to recoup those funds essentially. So for me, vintage cards, high eye appeal, Hall of Famers, and just stick to that and you'll be fine long term, I believe. Of course, it's a market, just like the stock market. It can go up, it can go down. Buy what you like at the end of the day, but it's better if you like the old stuff that are Hall of Famers because you'll have a better return on your money most likely. I would stay away from modern cards. I don't think it's a great investment long term. Let's hope that Aaron Judge and Shohei do well and nothing happens to them and then their cards keep going up in value. But I just can't see how much higher they can really go. A Shohei's rookie card can go for $40, $50, $60, $80,000. And to me, that money is better placed than a Babe Ruth card, a Lou Gehrig card, or another Hall of Famer that had their career already and that they're already established. So when I'm looking to invest my money, I want to have a very stable investment. I don't want to have volatility. If something happens today to that person, my card plummets in value, I don't like it. So that's my take for today. Buy vintage if you can. Buy high eye appeal and stick with that so you don't have to resell it in the future to get a better copy. And another reason I like vintage is the grading scale really doesn't matter that much for vintage as opposed to modern, where you need to get a PSA 10 because no one really wants a PSA 9. People do, but not so much. So That's the video for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.